What if history is not random? What if kings rise and fall, according to words written, before their crowns were ever forged? What if the future isn't chaos, but a choreography? Each step marked in advance, on heaven's timeline? And what if one of the most overlooked symbols in Bible prophecy was not just a symbol, but a living thread woven through centuries of power, religion, empire, and authority? Today, we are not talking about a lion, not a bear, not a leopard. We are stepping beyond them into the more dangerous part of Daniel's vision, a symbol that didn't come as a roaring beast, but as a small, rising power, quiet at first, unassuming, almost invisible. Daniel called it the little horn, a power that rose out of the ruins of Rome, not with armies alone, but with influence, a power that reshaped Europe, guided kings, controlled conscience, and dominated history for more than 1,000 years. This is not legend, this is not conspiracy, this is prophecy fulfilled. Daniel writes in chapter 7, "I was considering the horns, and behold, there came up among them another horn, a little one, before which 3 of the first horns were plucked up by the roots." Daniel 7:8. The Roman Empire had already collapsed. 10 kingdoms had already risen from its ruins. Yet Daniel does not end his vision there. He continues watching, and that's when he sees it. A small horn emerging, not from outside the empire, but within its remnants. It doesn't rise like a conquering army. It rises like a seed among roots, political, religious, strategic. And then, Daniel saw something startling. In this horn were eyes like the eyes of a man, and a mouth speaking great things. This is not brute force, this is intelligence. This is persuasion. This is a system that sees, speaks, and influences. A power not built only on swords, but on authority. After the Western Roman Empire collapsed in 476 AD, Europe didn't enter peace. It entered fragmentation. Tribal kingdoms controlled the lands once ruled by Caesars. No emperor ruled the West. No single authority stood above the rest. But one institution survived the fall of Rome, the Church. And at its center stood a figure, the Bishop of Rome. At first, just a spiritual shepherd. But as kings struggled and as invasions multiplied and as law and order collapsed, people turned to stability. They turned to religious authority. And in that vacuum, the Bishop of Rome began to rise beyond spiritual leadership into political dominance. Daniel had seen this long before it happened. Daniel said, "Before which 3 of the first horns were plucked up." History gives exact correspondence. 3 Germanic kingdoms stood in opposition to the growing power of the Roman bishop, the Heruli, the Vandals, the Ostrogoths. These tribes followed Arian Christianity, a doctrine viewed as heretical by the Roman Church. And one by one, they were removed. The Heruli were defeated in 493 AD. The Vandals were conquered in 534 AD. The Ostrogoths were defeated in 538 AD. After this, no major power remained in Italy to challenge the Bishop of Rome. From this point onward, the papal office rose, not only as spiritual head, but also as a political ruler, exactly as Daniel foresaw. 3 horns uprooted. Daniel continues, "He shall speak great words against the Most High." This means bold claims, extraordinary authority, statements that no mere institution should make. Historically, the medieval papal system declared authority above kings, power to crown and depose emperors, the right to speak on behalf of God, the final interpreter of Scripture, the power to forgive sins, the authority to alter ecclesiastical law. Popes crowned Charlemagne. They excommunicated emperors. They influenced wars, treaties, and royal successions. European rulers did not simply govern. They sought religious approval to legitimize their rule. A small horn? Yes, but one whose influence towered over empires. Daniel adds another unique detail. He shall think to change times and laws. Daniel 7:25. This is not a military action. This is a cultural and religious transformation. History shows the biblical Sabbath gradually replaced by Sunday worship. Church tradition elevated alongside or above Scripture. Church councils redefining religious calendar and holy days. Canon law expanded into political systems. Worship, doctrine, and obedience brought under central authority. This wasn't simple religion. This was civilization being reshaped. Time itself, holy time, worship time, sacred observance, slowly redefined law itself, not just biblical law, but moral and social law, shifted under the system's authority, just as Daniel envisioned. Daniel writes, "He shall wear out the saints of the Most High." History does not ignore this. For centuries, those who opposed, challenged, or rejected religious authority were persecuted. The Waldensians, the Huguenots, the Albigenses, the early reformers, Bible translators, dissenting groups. Many lost property, many lost freedom, many lost their lives, not because they fought with weapons, but because they challenged authority. Religious power had become political enforcement, a tragic confirmation of Daniel's warning. Then Daniel gives a time period. They shall be given into his hand for a time, times, and half a time. Prophetically, one time equals 1 year. Times equals 2 years. Half a time equals 1/2 year. Total equals 3.5 prophetic years. In prophecy, 1 day equals 1 year. 3.5 years times 360 days equals 1,260 days divided by 1,260 years. Now here's where history becomes uncomfortable because it aligns too well. From a 538 AD, the rise of papal authority, to 1798 AD, when Napoleon's General Berthier imprisoned the Pope. Exactly 1,260 years, the prophetic timeline hits with exact mathematical precision. Not close, not approximate, exact. In 1798, the papal political power collapsed. After more than a millennium of dominance, for the first time in centuries, its authority was broken. The Pope was taken captive. The papal states lost control. Many believed this system was finished. But Daniel never described total extinction, only a loss of dominance. History shows it regained influence later, but not with the same absolute political authority. Over kings and empires, its rule changed form, which again fits Daniel's pattern. The little horn is not merely medieval history. It reveals a pattern that when spiritual institutions seek political control, conscience becomes territory. When authority merges with faith, power reshapes truth. Daniel's warning was not just historical, it was ethical, spiritual, future-focused. He was showing humanity what happens when power wears sacred clothing. But Daniel's vision doesn't stop with corruption. He lifts his eyes beyond earthly power. "I watched till thrones were put in place, and the Ancient of Days was seated." Daniel 7:9. He sees judgment. He sees justice. He sees God reclaiming authority from every corrupt system. Earthly powers fall, but divine authority remains. The beasts fall, the horn falls, the kingdoms fade, but God's kingdom rises. History doesn't just record events, it reveals patterns. And the story of the little horn is not just about what happened in medieval Europe, it's about how power behaves when it forgets its limits. That is why Daniel's vision is so dangerous and so necessary, because he wasn't only shown kings, he was shown systems, not just rulers, but structures of authority. The little horn reminds us that the greatest threats to truth don't always come with swords. Sometimes they come with doctrine, with tradition, with religious language, with claims of divine authority. Sometimes the most powerful empires are not built with walls or armies, but with influence over the human conscience. And that is why this prophecy still speaks to modern times. Because even today, power still seeks legitimacy through faith. Authority still wears spiritual clothing, and truth is still challenged by institutions that claim to guard it. Daniel wasn't only given a vision of his world, he was given a vision of human nature. How we treat power, how we merge belief with control, how easily systems meant to serve transform into systems that dominate. And yet, Daniel didn't end in fear. He didn't end in despair. He didn't end with beasts and corruption. He ended with hope. He ended with the Ancient of Days. He ended with a kingdom that did not rise by conquest or manipulation or fear. He saw a kingdom that would not be handed from ruler to ruler, from empire to empire, but a kingdom that would stand forever. Because while human power corrupts, divine power redeems. While earthly systems rise and fall, God's purpose remains steady. While little horns seek control, heaven patiently prepares restoration. And that is the real message of Daniel 7. Not fear of history, but confidence beyond it. Not anxiety about power, but assurance that power itself has limits. And those limits were written long before human empires ever emerged. So when you look at history, don't only see wars, don't only see kings, don't only see religion. See the pattern, see the hand behind the pattern, see the author behind the timeline. Because the same God who showed Daniel the rise of Rome, the division of Rome, and the emergence of the little horn is the same God who holds the future of our world in his hands and nothing. Not empires, not institutions, not ideologies, not even time itself can step outside his plan. Daniel didn't just see beasts, he saw power rise, he saw authority corrupt, he saw religion intertwined with empire, he saw truth challenged, and he saw God ultimately reign. The little horn is history, but it is also a message, a lesson. About power, about faith, about authority, and about where human systems lead when they claim divine control. If you want to continue uncovering these prophetic patterns, subscribe to Echoes of Prophecy, because our next episode will explore how these prophecies connect to the final stages of Daniel's vision and what they mean for our modern world. Comment below, do you see the little horn as just medieval history or a warning for the future? This is Echoes of Prophecy, where scripture meets history and prophecy still speaks.